Hey guys, this is Sarah behind the scenes, the third founder of AIWA Collective, and welcome to our very first episode of our after show. We are not positive as to what this is ultimately going to be called, and we'll get back to that later. But this is going to be a space where we take a deeper look at the conversations from the All In podcast. We want to answer your questions, share some behind the scenes stories, and talk about how these topics are landing out in the real world.
You're listening to the All In Wellness Approach podcast.
This is your wellness, your life. So just one question.
Are you ready to go all in?
Today, we are going to cover our very first episode, number 1, the introduction that's entitled Empowering Your Wellness Journey. Let's get into it. All right. So we filmed this episode April 25th, 2025. So
Wow.
It was almost 6 months in the making, which thinking about that is wild that was so long ago. We, at the time, thought that we wanted to shoot in public places and just be a podcast out in the real world. And those are the kind of things that I remember most from that day. What about you guys? What are the thoughts that come to your mind when you very first think about the very first shoot of your podcast?
Of our podcast. When you're excited about something, but you feel like you have no idea what you're doing, we were like, one day we want a fabulous studio, but we don't have that yet. So what can we do that creates visual interest and that supports our local community and potentially highlights a space of the person that we're interviewing? Well, the first episode, it was just us. And I think we all really enjoy a super cute coffee shop and also have a community from my background of owning the gym of members who own a couple of cute coffee shops, and they were gracious enough to let us use the space. So it just felt like all the stars were aligning, like, yes, that's our vision. God's provided it. Let's run with it. Not realizing that it's a public space. And so with a public space, you have people. And in some way, it felt really cool. Like, oh, look at us setting it up. Look at how professional we are. We're going to film in here. And then we got the audio. And we were like, oh, no, that's not really how we sound. Looking at it now, it's sweet and laughable. And like, okay, how great that was like a learning experience for us. But right after, I know we were cringe. Aubrey was like, throw it out. I'm not going.
That's it. I'm not doing it.
What did you think of?
Yeah, I loved that it was new and grandiose, and doing it out in public felt really fun and final. And then having my husband there in the background. And then we had your contact, John, who was definitely helping us because we had no idea what we were doing in terms of.
Shout out John Miller.
Yes.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, he has a skateboarding podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were really relying on him for like, what do we do with our hands? And it was great. I remember he had microphones, and holding a microphone, I did not like that. I talk with my hands a lot. And so that just seemed really weird feeling. When it came to the edits, our voices were so much more high pitched because we're trying to speak over the sounds in the public space. And so I was like, ugh, just like you said, Amanda, it was kind of cringe. But I think on a personal level, 2 things really stood out, and 2 big ways I grew from that, not even from the podcast standpoint, but as a human. I was on the excuse train, and I think that was the death of my excuse era in my wellness journey, because I still listened to the raw edit of that, and I was just like, yeah, but I'm busy. And it was just a but this and that, and be kind to yourself and just take your dogs for a walk. And it made me feel that imposter syndrome. I cringed over myself. And I think listening to myself say that stuff made me realize, if I'm going to be in this space, then I really need to put my money where my mouth is and shit or get off the pot, basically.
Yeah.
And so that was a big growth section for me watching our first episode.
I think it helped too. Again, shout out to John, was we also didn't have our own equipment yet. The back end of a podcast is a beast. And the amount of respect and regard I have for anybody who's doing this, no matter what level you're at doing it, is wow. We're just continuing to learn. And it was like, okay, we don't have equipment yet, but we know we don't want to hold a mic And also being able for the financials of it, trying to figure out, okay, what do we want? We're on a beer budget. I think that's been kind of fun too, is with each one of these episodes, we keep learning. And especially that first one, we do all the things that you think you should do. Here's the box of a podcast, and like, let's be super polished and wear suits and, do it in a public, beautiful space. And I think it's helped us start leaning into authenticity, which is weird because for 3 people who already thought we were pretty authentic, like you said, hearing yourself, once you hear yourself and see yourself present yourself, you're like, hold up, rewind. I am not presenting myself how I think that I am or that I really want to. And it's because of fear or because of expectation. And I think it's been a great growth of confidence in all of us to be like, all right, we're just going to keep doing this and be okay with letting it start. And to start, you're going to have to be okay with the fact that you're probably going to suck the first time you try it.
This first episode really evolved from the time we first filmed it. We were like, we're going to put it out as a proper over 30-minute episode. We listened to the cut that John made for us. Again, thank you, John, so much. Cannot be overestimated. And then we were like, maybe not. Maybe we want to release this in shorts. Maybe we want like a 5-minute episode. We really had to figure out what we wanted this to be. And even the day before we were publishing, we were like, should we redo this first episode? Is there anything that got cut out that you think of still?
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want you to go back and find it.
Yeah. I think likes, yeahs, and ums, you don't realize how much you use them. And pauses, us learning how to speak clearly and directly and eloquently without doing the millennial explain spiral, the story before the story, in and after and around the story. Just being able to be confident in a straight answer. I think simplifying and relaxing and breathing and allowing for an appropriate pause. A lot of people do this in one or both ways. Either they're really quiet and don't speak, or they're afraid of silence and so they overspeak. I think we can all be shades of all of that. So learning to just be really concise and like calm, I think is a piece that the edit helped us realize, oh man, if we don't get a hang on that, editing all of this every time is going to be really hard.
Is millennial splaining a thing? Because I think we finally coined it. Like everybody talks about the Gen Z stare. We have the story before the story to understand the story because we want to get it out there. And it's this, like you said, it's like a circle. We just keep circling the drain. And we've done that in every episode thus far. And we've shot 5 now. And going back and editing the story before the answer has been really interesting to me. That'd be a fun short to put together. So it's like kind of like the what happened was.
Yes, the edit and then the original.
Yeah.
Kind of like when people get a recipe from Pinterest and it's like what Pinterest showed, what my, autumn muffins actually turned out to be.
Yeah.
The Pinterest fails.
Yeah, Pinterest fail.
All right. Well, we are going to transition over to the reacting to feedback, answering questions kind of portion. We heard from a listener, and they said, look, I understand what you're saying about alignment, doing better. Yes, understand what you're trying to do. Amanda had made a small comment of, we all know we should brush our teeth, and so we all brush our teeth, right? But essentially saying, some days I barely can brush my teeth. There are people that are out there in survival mode that have a hard time doing those tasks. And transparently, I've had times of my life where I have also been in this moment. How do you want the people listening to this podcast who are in survival mode to approach it?
The context that I was meaning was creating a life habit for yourself. As a child, you learn, okay, creating habits. I have to brush my teeth every day as a child. It's ingrained. You have an accountability person as your parent. And I didn't get to really dive into that because then as we go through all of these episodes, there's going to be new habits that you want to bring into your life. And to do that, you want to be able to have an accountability person that's going to help you do all of that. But knowing before you can add a habit to your life, you have to make sure that you're in a headspace of self-care. And my heart goes out because I feel like we've all been there. And this is where the real part comes to. where we've all had medical journeys that we've thought were going to take our lives. If not the disease, then our own mental stability from that, because those journeys are hard. And sometimes getting out of bed is just the win. And don't worry about if you're getting protein in that morning. The fact that you got out of bed is your win, and take that. And once you can not have getting out of bed be the goal, then okay, getting out of bed, brushing your teeth. I think the process for progress is the same, but everybody's starting at a different spot in that journey. So wherever your starting spot is, whether that's just, okay, I'm going to get out of bed at the same time every day, and that's good enough. Don't even start about the nutrition yet. It's a big mindset of that you're worthy enough and that you love yourself enough. That's a bigger, deeper part. And not always can we handle that. We may need help. I hope that listening to the podcast can help empower people to realize you are freaking worthy of taking care of yourself. No matter who and what is around you, you may not be able to control the external environment because that involves other people, but this is you. And I know sometimes too, what happens to that body isn't always controlled because of a disease or because of whatever else, but how you go forward from there. And I hope it empowers you to fight for yourself and to love yourself. And that if you're not even there yet, then that's where you start. And I hope that if you don't have people around you to help fuel that part, I hope we can be that for everybody. We want to be your wellness wing women, like we talked about. And if that's just starting to help you understand that you deserve to be taken care of. And even if you don't have anybody else in your sphere to help take care of you, then you've got to start for yourself. And that's my biggest heart, is that I hope nobody feels like we're making this seem easy or shameful that you're at a different spot in your journey. I just want you to be empowered that you deserve to be loved, to be healthy, and to take care of yourself and to love yourself. And if there's any way that we can help with that, that's what we want to do.
I'll be the bridge to that right now. So that's your tactical information. And then I'm going to provide the practical application to this. And it's going to come down to normalizing your energy limits in order to figure out where you're at in your own wellness journey. And so there is a theory that came out in 2003. It's called the spoon theory. The concept of the spoon theory is basically like, think of a spoon, literally just a spoon, mixing your coffee with it, eating whatever with it. Think of a spoon as a unit of energy. For some, that unit of energy in the morning, you wake up and you only have 10 spoons. A spoon for me in the morning is I pick up the spoon, I get ready for the day. And then my next spoon is my commute to work. And then my next spoon is flying an airplane. And then my next spoon is working out. These are whole parts of my journey where I'm at currently. And once those spoons are used up, they're used up. But somebody else's set of spoons may look like a whole spoon is brushing your teeth. A whole spoon is feeding your kid. A whole spoon is getting dressed. The variations of the energy limits are different for everyone. And they also adjust for yourself independently. So there's some days where if I've had a hard day, my spoon might look like I just want to get my coffee. And that's where my spoon's going to sit. There's a point to where you can borrow so many spoons from tomorrow, but you better be prepared that tomorrow is going to be a little bit harder because you tried so much today. That's the whole concept of the spoon theory. Understanding that for certain people will help us build compassion, but then also understanding that for yourself, that if you can gauge where your energy is, if there's one thing that you get from this review of episode 1, gauge where you're at with your energy limits and then decide what you can create as a habit. Put your words into action and then move forward. So if brushing your teeth is hard, let's work on getting brushing your teeth as a second nature, automatic. And then we can start building on the other things. That doesn't mean it has to happen overnight. It could take you 30 whole days of consistently doing this one thing to make it a habit. And that's okay. That's what we want. This is the all-in wellness approach. This isn't the all-in wellness show. It's an approach because we want you to leave every episode genuinely moving into a direction that's going to better you because you want it for yourself and you deserve it.
Beautiful.
I think approach is the right word. And Our information is to help you build your own approach. My way is a way, not they way. Hopefully, it helps you find your way.
I think this segues us really nicely into my next question for you guys. When people listen to the All in Wellness Approach podcast, how do you want them to feel after that outro plays and there's silence in their ears? What do you want that feeling to be that's left behind?
Listening changes nothing. Doing changes everything. I want them to move. I don't mean go work out. I don't want you to feel like you have to jump up and go to the gym, because that is a lot of spoons for some people. I just want you to move. Grab a journal, grab your calendar, put change into motion. And that's, again, creating your own approach.
I want people to feel seen. I want them to resonate with what we're saying or who we have on as an interviewee. I want them to feel empowered and knowledgeable, like they've learned something that they can actually apply, and they are empowered enough to apply that as soon as they feel like they've got the energy to. And hopefully that empowerment makes them realize, again, hearing is great, doing is better. So what can you take, small nugget, and apply that right now to where you're at, and using our approach to find your way to do that and to help you self-reflect to know what your next right thing is. The next right thing is the right thing for everybody, but the next right thing is different for everybody.
I think I want people to understand something that I spent struggling my entire 20s with, and that progress is ugly and it's okay to be living in the ugliness.
This is not a day and age where we give space for ugly.
Right. And I hope that we can do that, to say like we've been in this ugliness before, or we're in this ugliness now, and like, here, let's sit in it together, and then let's put together a plan on how to move beyond it. All right. Any other last thoughts about episode 1?
I got a comment that I don't know if I shared with you guys about how it sounded like Aubrey and I might just be tossing out our resume almost. And I think that's part of what we touched on earlier in what we learned, is that you think, we want to establish value and we want to establish credibility. And we didn't necessarily put a whole lot of heart into it. Not that our hearts weren't in it, but short episode, this is going to be a relationship. So I hope people know that you can't just get to know someone on a first date fully. That was our first date, and a lot of the times first dates go like that. So allow us a second and third and fourth date to get to know that there is depth to this veneer. And that we've all gone through some stuff, but you don't necessarily like show all the skeletons in your closet on the first date. So I appreciate that it felt like that, and I want to acknowledge it, but let's keep dating.
Where are you taking us on our next date?
I'm going to take you out to a nice seafood dinner. Get whatever you want.
I got married so that I didn't have to date anymore.
Friendships is the new dating.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Aubrey, any other last thoughts from you?
Last thoughts for episode 1. Honestly, I'm just glad that one's behind us, because I fought that every step of the way. I mean, I agree and resonate with the feedback that Amanda got. We keep throwing the word around imposter syndrome, and that's a big one in the realm of women in aviation, right? You don't feel worthy to do something. And I'm sitting next to my best friend, who I look up to so much because she is in the fitness, wellness, athletic, nutrition industry. And I'm over here on that day in April, my little chunky self, as I've made all these changes to better myself inside and out. And I'm like, why am I on this show? Why did I agree to do this? I felt like nobody should be taking advice from me. But as you girls have pulled out of me, that it all starts with the mental acuity and clarity of setting your goals and what you need. You gotta get your mind right before you ever do anything else. That goes with your careers, with your family, who you choose to do life with, who you choose to hang out with, what you choose to eat. Every choice you make starts with that mental energy. And I had realized that I actually do have a lot to bring to the table, because I have gone through some experiences. More so, I'm just excited to continue to learn along the way, because I actually literally get a front row seat to the people and the guests that we've had on, and every single one we've had so far I've taken a nugget away that I've already implemented in my life, and I already feel so much better. And I never thought I'd level up like this. And I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with you girls. So thank you.
Thank you,
Love you
babe. And
both.
love you too. I want everybody to know that's the hard part when I'm the one in the wellness space. I think the value where you come in that was also not imposter syndrome. I don't know if there's a reverse imposter syndrome, but where I don't want people to think that I'm just this, perfect wellness veneer. You know that because you also saw my struggles for 20 years
Yeah.
with figuring that out through health and those kind of things, and being able to come to this point to where I can help people. But when people first meet me, all they see is the current. They don't see the past. And we talked about it the other day where at the beginning you thought, why am I supposed to be in this space? Your imposter syndrome is when you are in the depths of a hard moment and you need inspiration. Are you going to be more inspired by the doctor or the cancer survivor? You're going to be inspired by the cancer survivor. And I'm going to get to be that in the way when the time is for my hardships to share. But again, that's why there's a bridge, and it's going to be that two-sided thing where sometimes I'm on one side and you're on the other side. We're both on that same side. And over time, again, I hope people will see both sides of it. Yes, you may not necessarily be, a wellness professional with the fancy title, but you are a very decorated professional in your realm. And all of the people who are listening are going to be professionals in their realm who, no matter what, just because I'm a wellness professional, I don't get to monopolize that. We all need to be well. And how do you do that when you aren't a wellness professional, when you didn't go to school for this stuff? So
That's where I come in. 'Cause I'm on that journey, and 20 years took a long time for you to hit me upside the head finally and be like, all right, you're getting it. You're getting it. Get the traction. Let's go.
yes. So all points are valid. I can't wait for also Sarah to share her journey when the time feels right for her. And yeah, I'm just excited for everything to come. Can't wait for people to hopefully feel the things that we talked about that we want to give them. I hope that comes across. And I've had a few comments of people saying that already, and we're not even super deep into this thing, but I'm the one with the oh, we're going to the moon, and just seeing where it could be to have this be a collective and a community. I hope people see from this that their comments are seen and heard and used and valued, because we want this to be a collective, a community of all of us in this thing called life, trying to approach it well.
All right. So in the main podcast episode, we will be asking our guests what they are going all in on. We are changing things up on the after show. Instead of that, what are you going all in on? Because they've already heard that. What's in your cup? What are you drinking at the moment to stay hydrated?
I have two. I have a mint green tea in this beautiful mug. Yeah. Electrolytes in my water bottle.
Beautiful.
I very rarely do this, but I went basic today. I needed an afternoon coffee, considering I got my butt kicked at boot camp this morning at Body Strong Boot Camp in Longview with Emily, Click Hurt, and Paula. They're pretty tough. So afternoon coffee, and then water with, instead of electrolytes, it's actually Amanda's little super secret dehydrated green lime salt.
A trick that will be coming to you shortly.
Yeah.
To know me is to know that I live and die by my big stupid cups. I have a Stanley with me at all times. I think I own 5 of them to rotate throughout the week. And I'm just drinking water right now. Although after I finish my water, my first one of water, then I move on to coconut water. So that will be nice.
And that's just Sarah behind the scenes, raw dog in life.
That's just me, raw dog in life, All right. And that's our very first after show episode in the books. So we are planning on doing one for every episode. So please keep your thoughts and questions coming. We are reading all of them. You can leave us a review or comment on Instagram. Join the conversation on YouTube. We also love that. We will also be leaning on you, yes, you, a member of the collective, to help us name this after show. So please keep an eye on our social media for that. Can't wait to talk with you all next time.
All right. See you later.
Yay! All right, bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the All in Wellness Approach. If the show resonates with you, please rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who are ready to live all in. Join the collective on Instagram at AIWA Podcast. That's at AIWA Podcast for tools, insights, and inspiration, and catch every full episode on YouTube. Your support fuels this mission and keeps the collective moving all in. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Always consult your doctor before changing your lifestyle.